My name is Jonathan Clark, a 32-year-old who once believed that trust was the cornerstone of every significant bond. I held a senior project manager position at a tech firm in central Chicago, earning a robust six-figure income that afforded me a cozy condo in Lincoln Park. My life appeared to embody the ideal American dream. I was engaged to Megan Davis, the woman I thought was my perfect match, and my relationship with my father, Robert Clark, was everything a son could hope for. He was my idol, my guide, and the person who instilled in me that integrity outweighed any salary. My father, Robert, aged 60, was a well-regarded real estate agent with 3 decades of experience in Chicago's market. He and my mother, Mary, had been married for 35 years, setting a benchmark for relationships that I aspired to emulate. Robert was the kind of man who still held doors open, kept his promises no matter the cost, and never missed my childhood baseball games. When I introduced him to Megan 2 years ago, he embraced her warmly, treating her like the daughter he never had. Megan Davis, 30, was a marketing specialist at a boutique agency in River North. She was smart, stunning, and shared my passion for weekend getaways to Wisconsin and spirited debates over deep dish pizza. We met at a friend's 4th of July cookout in 2022, and within 3 months, I was certain I wanted to build a life with her. She meshed seamlessly with my family, joining us for Sunday dinners and festive gatherings. My mother, Mary, cherished her, and my father, Robert, often remarked on how fortunate I was to have found such an amazing partner. Everything seemed perfectly aligned. Our wedding was set for a Saturday in October at St. Michael's Church in Old Town, with a reception planned at the Chicago History Museum. Invitations had gone out to 150 guests, including relatives, friends, and coworkers. I had meticulously planned every detail, from a vintage whiskey bar to a jazz quartet for the dinner. My best man was my college buddy from Northwestern, and Megan's sister served as her maid of honor. The rehearsal dinner was reserved at Gibson's Steakhouse, and we'd secured a deposit for a honeymoon suite in Maui. If you're drawn to tales of calculated retribution and shocking plot turns, like this video and subscribe to the channel now. We share fresh, exclusive stories daily, each more gripping than the last. The night before the wedding, I was at the Palmer House Hotel with my father, finalizing ceremony details. My mother and Megan were at another hotel with the bridesmaids, honoring the tradition of staying apart before the wedding. Robert and I had ordered room service and were seated at a small table in my suite, going over the next day's schedule. He was assisting with the seating arrangement, ensuring relatives from both families would feel at ease. It was one of those cherished father-son moments I thought we'd share for years. Around 10:30 p.m., my father stepped away to use the bathroom, leaving his iPhone unlocked on the table next to his coffee mug. I wasn't prying, but a text notification caught my eye as it flashed on the screen. What I read froze my blood and shattered everything I believed about the 2 people I trusted most. The message, sent from Megan at 10:28 p.m., said, "Thank you for an unforgettable evening, Robert. The way your touch lingered on me is burned in my memory. I'm already counting down to our next time. You're incredible. P.S. Our secret stays safe?" Attached was a photo that erased any chance of misunderstanding. It was an explicit image of them together in what appeared to be a hotel room taken the previous night. In an instant, my world crumbled. The woman I was set to marry in under 12 hours had been intimate with my own father. The man I'd idolized my entire life had betrayed not only me, but also my mother, who was likely helping Megan prepare for what she believed would be her son's happiest day. I stared at the phone, my body trembling, yet my mind oddly focused. This wasn't a fleeting lapse or drunken error. The photo's metadata showed it was taken at 11:47 p.m. the night before, meaning they'd orchestrated this while I was at my bachelor party at Wrigley Field, watching the Cubs fall to the Cardinals and raising toasts to my future. When my father returned, I'd already snapped photos of his phone screen with my own device. My years in tech had taught me the value of evidence and backups. I kept my voice calm, saying I was tired and needed rest for the big day. He clapped my shoulder and said, "Sleep well, son. Tomorrow will be the greatest day of your life." The irony stung like a blade. After he left for his room, I sat on the bed's edge, letting the betrayal's full weight settle. I recalled subtle signs I'd overlooked in recent months. Megan had been staying late at work more often, citing new clients at her firm. My father had taken frequent business trips to Milwaukee, claiming the real estate market was booming. There were sly glances between them at family dinners, private jokes that left others out, and a new fragrance Megan wore that my father praised too eagerly. I'd ignored these clues because my trust in them was absolute. In my career, I was trained to detect errors in code, to spot irregularities that didn't fit. Yet in my personal life, I'd missed the most glaring flaw in my world. The betrayal wasn't just the act itself. It was the deliberate lies, the calculated deception, and their plan to let me walk down the aisle clueless. Instead of canceling the wedding or confronting them in anger, I chose a path that would shape everything that followed. I'd let them believe they'd escaped detection until the moment I exposed them before everyone they cared about. My project management experience taught me that success demands strategy and precision. I spent the next 3 hours crafting my plan. First, I uploaded the photos and messages from my father's phone to a secure cloud server I controlled. Then, I built a simple web page displaying the images and text thread, hosted on a server equipped for heavy traffic. I created a QR code linking to the page, designed to look harmless, like a portal to wedding photos or a guest book. At the hotel's business center, I printed 200 small cards with the QR code and a note. Scan for a special surprise from the bride and groom. I knew guests would be eager to scan it, expecting exclusive wedding content. The cards looked polished and authentic, fitting for a modern wedding favor. Next, I called my lawyer, Rebecca Stone, at nearly 2 a.m. Rebecca, who'd handled my property deals and contracts for years, was completely trustworthy. She picked up on the third ring and listened as I explained everything. "Jonathan," she said, "I'm heartbroken for you, but you're thinking clearly. Don't sign any marriage papers tomorrow. What you're planning is legal. It's your evidence, your wedding, your life. You can share the truth." Rebecca advised documenting everything with timestamps and ensuring witnesses for the events to come. She offered to attend the wedding discreetly as my legal counsel in case complications arose. "Sometimes," she said, "the truth is the most powerful revenge, and it hits harder than any scheme." I barely slept, but by morning I felt an eerie calm. I showered, donned my tailored Tom Ford tuxedo, and faced the mirror. The man looking back appeared composed, even regal. My career had honed my ability to handle pressure, solve problems under tight deadlines, and deliver results. Today would test those skills like never before. At St. Michael's, everything unfolded as planned. The flowers were flawless, the music enchanting, and guests arrived in elegant attire. My mother, Mary, glowed in her navy dress, unaware her world was about to collapse. My father, Robert, played the proud father, greeting guests and chatting about the weather and the bears season. Megan arrived in a stunning $8,000 white gown, the picture of a radiant bride. She kissed my cheek and whispered, "I can't wait to be your wife." Her boldness was staggering, given she'd been with my father less than 36 hours earlier, now standing at the altar to vow eternal love. As we stood before the altar, I saw my father in the front row, smiling in a way that now seemed like a facade. He gave me a thumbs up, a gesture he'd used at my Northwestern graduation, my first promotion, and when I shared my plan to propose to Megan. The duplicity was overwhelming, but I stayed composed. My plan was on track. Father Mackenzie opened the ceremony with traditional words, and I felt the gaze of 150 guests, family, friends, colleagues. My best man, Mike, stood beside me, unaware of what was coming. Megan's sister, Sarah, beamed as maid of honor. During the ceremony's early moments, I'd arranged for my trusted wedding coordinator, Janet, to distribute the QR code cards. Janet, a seasoned professional at St. Michael's, believed they were a reception surprise and handed them out discreetly. I watched as Uncle Frank from Milwaukee scanned his card, his face shifting from curiosity to shock in seconds. My cousin Jennifer gasped, covering her mouth. My boss, David, paled and showed his wife, who stifled a cry. The effect rippled through the church. Within minutes, nearly every guest was checking their phones, the atmosphere growing tense with whispers and stunned looks. The evidence spread like a virus, but the ceremony continued. Father Mackenzie was speaking about love and fidelity when Megan's Aunt Carol showed her phone to Megan's mother, who let out a quiet sob. My mother, Mary, in the front row, scanned a card with a smile that vanished as her face crumpled in devastation. Megan, facing the priest, hadn't noticed the chaos. My father, Robert, grew visibly uneasy as he saw guests whispering and glancing at their screens. He leaned toward my mother, but she recoiled, tears streaming down her face. The moment arrived. Father Mackenzie asked if anyone objected to the union, If any person knows of any reason why Jonathan and Megan should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. I stepped forward, taking the microphone. The church fell silent, save for my pounding heart. I looked at Megan, then my father, then the guests who'd seen the evidence. Yes, I said, my voice steady. I have something to say. Megan turned, her confusion turning to dread as she saw the guests' faces. My father half rose, panic flushing his face as he realized his secret was exposed. I loved you, Megan, I said, facing her. I gave you everything. Turning to my father, I continued, Dad, you were my hero, the man who taught me about honor and integrity. The silence was deafening. But the deepest betrayal demands the steepest price. Last night, I learned the two people I trusted most have been deceiving me, planning to let me marry while hiding their affair. Megan tried to speak, but no words came. My father stood, hands trembling, desperate to control the situation. My mother sobbed, not just from betrayal, but from the public shame unfolding. The evidence is clear, I said, gesturing to the guests holding phones displaying the undeniable messages and photos. Since you chose to mock this sacred moment, it's only right the truth is revealed here where you plan to deceive me. I declared, this wedding is over, as are our relationships, both of them. Chaos erupted. Guests shouted, Megan wept uncontrollably, and my father tried to reach me, but I walked down the aisle, head high, leaving behind the two who'd shattered my trust. Outside, the October air felt liberating. Behind me, Megan's sobs, my father's futile explanations, and my mother's grief filled the church. Mike caught up to me on the steps. God, Jonathan, he said, I can't believe they did this. How are you holding up? I'm better than I've been in months, I replied. The truth sets you free even when it burns. Within hours, the story spread beyond the church. Guests shared the evidence online, and by Sunday night, it was trending on social media. By Monday, Chicago news outlets covered it, and by Tuesday, national media sought interviews. I spoke briefly to a Chicago Tribune reporter I knew, saying, I believe in truth. People deserve to know who they're dealing with, especially in matters of trust. Megan's firm, which valued ethics, fired her within a week. My father's real estate business collapsed as clients, and his partner of 15 years abandoned him. My mother filed for divorce within 2 weeks, unable to forgive the public betrayal. Rebecca Stone handled the legal fallout efficiently, recovering some wedding costs and ensuring Megan had no claim to my assets. I took 2 weeks off to process the ordeal and media frenzy. My boss, David, praised my strength. 3 months later, I accepted a senior director role in Austin, Texas, working on AI projects with a higher salary. It was a fresh start away from Chicago's gossip. Before leaving, I faced my father, who appeared broken. Son, he said, I can't undo this, but I'm sorry I destroyed everything. I felt pity, not anger. Dad, I said, I forgive you not because you deserve it, but because I'm done carrying this weight. 6 months later, I was thriving in Austin, working on exciting projects and cautiously dating again, wiser about trust. Megan had moved to Wisconsin, and my father worked a low-level job in a suburban real estate office. Their affair crumbled under public scrutiny. The story of my wedding day revelation became a Chicago legend, but I rarely dwelt on it. The betrayal, once world-ending, had sparked a better life. Sometimes, the worst setbacks pave the way for the greatest growth. If you enjoyed this story, like the video and comment your thoughts. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.